How do you think then creators can navigate like feedback from the brand and also like the balance with the creative control?
I think creators at first hand, when they start having conversations with brands, they don't realize that they are the client, right? They don't realize that they've got an opinion as well.
Yeah.
And they won't even say, hey, yes, this is the brief. Am I able to change the brief according to my style?
Yeah.
And send the brief, have it, make it a conversation. So what creators do is that they receive the brief and like, this is what they've given me. So I have to execute
have to
the
do it, yeah.
exact same way. So what I found most of the time, and I think when I was shooting a lot of reels, it's something that I had fun with. I was always saying that, especially for example, with the likes of Coke, I knew who was in the middle person. I would always say, hey, this person is saying they want to do this.
Yeah.
Can I change the brief and make it suit this content creator? Let's make skit for Nathan. Let's make dancing videos for Spohle. Do you understand? So for me, that made a huge deal to say, let's integrate what the people are doing than to say, take the brief and then, because what they do is that they have one brief for everyone. However, that brief can't be salt and butter for everyone.
For sure.
People have different tastes. People have different spices that they want to put into their content. Allow them to do that. And if a brand says no, it's okay. And I think most of us are afraid of rejection. I remember at some point it became a thing where I was like, if a campaign comes back and then they say, oh no, we reject your video, it feels bad.
It does,
for sure. But if it feels bad, it's okay. You tried. You tried to say, okay, guys, this is what we can do. Show them so that even next time they can look at that video and say, wait, you did that. Can we try this? I think we've got a campaign now that's suitable for this type of content. So for me, I feel like content creators should be able to go back and then say, hey, this is what we can do. So,
You say that though, and I think it's also a good learning opportunity for brands as well. To try and understand. Because if you are helping me with my content and I don't do voiceovers, and now all of a sudden they're asking me to do a voiceover. I'm going to feel weird, the audience is going to feel weird, and it actually shows in your numbers. So what you said is so important. It's like, because even though we know that, especially with a platform like TikTok, you trend on the sound, so everybody does the same dance and everybody does the same. But we don't all have to replicate it. You can find... I cannot.
And then the campaign comes through and says,
and then they say, please dance. It's going to look so weird. And as your audience, we're going to say, is everything okay? Hello? Is everything okay? So I think it's an important learning thing for creators to understand, you have to still be authentically you. And also for brands to also try to meet the creators, sort of halfway. But it's also an important thing to learn because brands have certain objectives and they also have, missions and tones that they have to speak in. So that's why sometimes they'll ask you for a little bit more seriousness, even though you don't always do it. With that said, how important is personality versus niche in the content creation space? Because now, just because I love food, but I can't always cook. And my food content won't food content like Mrs. Baloyi's content. Hello, man. We see you. Okay. That content. So how important is personality versus niche? And is it super important to you that you can give it as advice that people must have a niche, or can they find a way to kind of mix personality and niche?
I think it's both. I think it's both. And especially if your niche is very saturated, personality stands out. So, for example, everyone is doing vlogging. If you're a vlogger, for me, that's personality that attracts me to vlogs. Sometimes you're watching things that don't necessarily you wouldn't do. Like, for example, what I do sometimes is gadget reviews. I have to make them catchy because there's a lot of people who are doing tech reviews.
Doing that,
But then your personality, it's a niche content, yes, for sure. But for other people who are not interested, they still have to find a way to be interested in the content without having to do that. For example, there's this lady that I like watching that content, Slim, right? Color Slim. She does makeup. I'm not interested in makeup. Exactly.
Yes, that's
but I love watching that. For me, that's personality. So it's not even on the voice. It's about how she does it. It's about how much effort you can see that she did put in effort. That she puts into that. She planned this whole thing. So for me, I enjoy seeing that, and I like that. So personality has to peak out, especially if the niche is saturated.
That's so important for you to say that, because now people are not understanding where to kind of draw the line. And so they try to replicate it. And then when people Well, some people are not kind about things, right? So, but when people give this feedback to say, no, it doesn't make any sense. How do you think people can navigate that negative feedback?
Yeah. Negative feedback, it always hurts.
Yeah.
That's definitely for sure, right? But then I think what people say that when people give you bread, don't eat the plastic, eat the bread inside the plastic, right? So take out the plastic and put it aside and see what the bread has inside. So take out that bread and start eating the bread. So therefore you understand that within that negative connotation or whatever feedback that you're getting, try to get it out and then start to see what can you improve on, right? And it's always like a good thing to take criticism sometimes. Even if sometimes it might feel like it's bad, but take something out of it and then just leave the plastic out, right? And then leave all the negative things, but there's always bread inside.
So it's where you focus. I really, really love that because then we always, there'll be like 10 other people that saying this looks good. And everybody will choose to respond to that one negative.
That's one, especially on TikTok.
Oh my.
On TikTok, if it catches just one comment.
I also feel like everybody's just waiting for one person.
Exactly.
I wish you would say something because everybody's always waiting for that one comment. That's the one they respond to and they don't focus on the rest of the other
rest of the comments. But also I think it's a mentality thing that I think as creators we need to develop as well. If you see something that's good, if I see your video, I must start commenting on it. Sometimes we comment in our minds like, oh, this is so nice.
This is so nice. And
why don't you type it so nice? If you see Rose's video, why don't you type, oh, this was very useful.
It's so nice.
Start commenting. This is useful. We need more comment. You'll say, oh, nice. And then a person will bump into you, Rose, and say, oh, Rose, I love the content that you're doing. Like,
you don't even follow me.
You don't even this. What's proof that you follow me?
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. That's why, subscribe to people's channels. You're watching it, you're already enjoying it. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. So just like it, comment, and it can really, really help with the people. And it will also actually help you. What people don't know is that the tools also tell us if when you are an interactive person or you're an engaging person. So now let's talk about how do we think that because of these negative how do you push forward even out of the negativity?
I think it goes back to why are you doing the content in the first place, right? Because you would know what's your objective, what's your mission, what's your vision, right? At the end, you need to come back to those things and then see what's going on, right? And see where are you in the steps. Because sometimes, like for example with me, right? And a lot of people wouldn't classify me as a tech creator. I started putting myself in that position to say, hey, I want to do tech. And the reason why I'm always in tech stores. When I get into a store, I'm always touching a camera. I'm always touching this and that. But I can't afford to buy those things all the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start creating content based on that. I want drones. I can't afford to buy every new drone that comes out.
The one time kikupa Bongani recommendation, I'm like, hey, camera na yako vlogger. He's like, oh, here's a recommendation here thing. My balance was saying, where are you going? And my balance just reminded me that if I need that content, I will phone him because my balance was not aligning. Let's talk about because you've now spoken about the tech part. Because you double up as a content producer. You produce the content for us. You shoot us, you edit for us and all of that. How do you strike the balance there where it's now, when do you take off the hat of I'm a creator, I'm a content producer? Or that's why?
No, definitely I did one. They're quite different. I think being a fan of creators, that's the first and foremost thing. Whenever I look at content, I think the producer head is always on whenever I'm not working. So when I start working with you, it becomes easier to say, hey, man, if I were to work with Rose to see, oh, okay, Rose is doing content like this and this. This is how I would help her improve the content. So that is always in my mind that whenever I reach out to content creators, I don't shoot anyone. I don't shoot everyone. I won't say, okay, send a DM to book me. That never happens. At the beginning, I used to have people saying, hey, man, Bongani only shoots celebrities. I'm like, no, it's not celebrities, guys. It's the stories that I see. When I have an idea, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I see the vision in you. And when it's time for you to flourish, guys, there's a lot of videographers out there. I can let you fly. But the only thing is that I will see a vision that where you're trying to go. Like, one thing I'm passionate about in the creator economy is that I want to see us having to look back 20 years later to say, This is where the creator economy was.
Was.
Right now, we're able to build houses.
Yeah.
Right now, we're infiltrating the acting space, the movie spaces, all those spaces. And that's where we started is TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those platforms that people undervalue.
Yeah.
So what I want to see is that creators making it out of the hood, making it out of their homes to say, this is what the house that I built for my family.
Yeah.
This is the house that I built for my parents. This is the house I built for myself. So I want to see creators going to those spaces. I want to see them growing. So that's where I feel like we should be going. So me having to come in as a producer, I'm coming in with that mentality that right now you need me.
Yeah.
You need me. Sometimes I infiltrate myself in spaces where I don't have to be there, videographer, but I need to tell you, yo, go into this. Like, for example, a lot of people are not going to YouTube, but I'm like, why?
Go there.
There's money.
Go there.
Guys, we've made so much money on YouTube. I don't
I've
understand
selected
why
my people. I shortlist. You'll receive an email that you've been shortlisted. When you're in the shortlist, you need to wait for client approval. So that's another thing. People think that I just shortlist the client. No. So the client does the approvals once I've shortlisted.
Right.
Based on client's feedback, I approve whoever they've approved.
Right.
And that will make up the list of selected creators. And then the process then
the process starts.
Yeah. And then, so my job stops once I've handed over the collaboration to the collaborators. Yeah.
Hey, now there's levels. As we were collaborators, content
coordinators,
managers,
there's
everything.
Somewhere my job.
Yeah, where you now hand over. So now then you then hand over to the coordinators who then take it from there. Those are the ones that send the briefs and approve the content and all of that. So I hope that you guys have written that down. Again, the link is in the description of the other video where I was with Shanae. If you haven't watched it, pause this one, go watch that one, then come back to this one. And then you can click the link in the description so you can register if you're not already registered with the SALT. But really the process is so long. And I think that people don't take that into mind. They think from when you ask them, hey, are you interested? Because sometimes you ask them, are you interested? Then tomorrow they're phoning you. Kind of go, client is in a conference for 7 days and now you don't know.
But yeah. That's I'm not biased, but the SALT is great in that way that I feel that it manages the creator's expectations.
Right.
So the tool is perfect for that. It's just there are those special cases where, hey, I've been on the shortlist for a week, honey.
I've also been on the shortlist for a week. So
yeah.
No, I hear you. You've mentioned something about, with creators understanding how it is to work with the brand. What are some of the misconceptions that creators have with the campaign or with working with brands?
Okay. We always have this conversation in private. Creators are starting to create content like adverts, and I feel that we provide a guide.
Yeah.
To say don't. Yeah. We've got a do's and don'ts list. And I'm finding that influencers are misunderstanding what's expected from them.
Yeah.
They don't know that the authenticity is what the client would like to see.
And it's why they book them.
Yeah. So you find that when you receive the content, hey, it's edited, yay, ooh, and I'm like, it would have been
do
nice.
that. Hi guys, did you know? It's only sharp. Yeah.
Guys, no.
And that really takes away from the authenticity. I think everybody really misses it when it comes to that. What else is there in terms of misconceptions?
The other misconception is that I think we touched on it. They feel that maybe we don't have lives.
Yeah.
They
text you in the nighttime.
Never mind that. I don't mind that. Honestly, right. I love my people who are on the database, but I feel that once they are on a campaign, they think that we have all the time for them. And it's not the case. Yeah. There's 17 other campaigns running at the same time.
40 people on each campaign.
Yeah, so they don't, and it goes back to a lack of understanding. There's and I think the misconception that I would like to add I'm just trying to think. Is that the brand doesn't take them seriously.
Okay.
So they have an attitude before they even begin. Yeah, and yes, they don't pay. Guys, whoa.
Focus.
Easy, Tiger.
Yeah.
Just don't focus on that.
Yeah.
The minute you take on a campaign and you're already thinking about the payment, you're starting off on a bad foot.
You already are starting off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, because, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to learn, the opportunity to appreciate the brand. You're already focusing on FNB, smiley face, X amount, So, I think those are the main misconceptions that I can think of at the moment, although there are many.
Yeah. And if you do have any questions, regarding all of this, don't forget in the comment section to ask the questions so that we can kind of tackle it. And we are still going to get to a point in the podcast where we bring through brand so that, and different types of brands so we can understand, because there's different processes as well.
100%.
Because remember we mentioned Dabaya, the niche, the personalities. So especially when you are a nano, sometimes it does mix it up a little bit because we'll come to you because of the authenticity.
Why aren't you asking me the question about a niche?
I will ask you. Let me ask you the question about the niche. These guests are interviewing themselves. So tell us, Pabi, how do you think the difference between having a niche and a personality, how do you find the balance? Or how can content creators find the balance between their personality and a niche?
This is a major problem that influencers don't know that it's a problem. You can be versatile.
Yep.
And that's part of your personality.
Yeah.
But you do need to stick to one thing that you are great at to attract the many brands that specialize in what you like.
Yeah.
So you're finding that you're working on cars. Next thing you're fixing computers.
Jesus.
Next thing you're gaming.
My goodness. It's a lot. And then you want makeup also.
Yeah, and then you get angry at us when we're like, Ash, we can't select you for this campaign because...
And then they're like, no, but I can do everything.
No. So I think, that's actually one of another misconception. Oh, I can do anything. No. Great. But it's not ideal for other brands.
And alignment is important.
100%.
So Michelle X, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're doing amapilisi supplements, choose one. You do know there's competitor brands.
Yes.
So already if I'm doing, I don't know, I can't mention vitamins, vitamins.
Multivitamins.
Yeah, if you've worked with 3 brands, surely the one brand that I'm working with is going to be like, but...
She's already done all of them.
She's done all of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not even getting paid for the ones you have posted.
Yep.
Now you're angry that the one that wants to pay you doesn't want to choose you. So you need, the niche is very...
Just try to balance. I spoke about this also in a couple of previous episodes for people to kind of understand how to navigate that space of doing too much at the same time and understanding things like that. There's cool-off periods in between.
Yes.
So if you've just done a campaign with one camera brand, then the next one is not going to touch you for a very long time. Only also because of the contract that you would have signed with the other one. Tell us about, we've touched on a little bit because of the niche. Tell us about when you are reviewing content, what kind of content stands out to you from when the content is submitted, but also just the kind of content when you are submitting or when you are previewing, vetting content creators for campaigns?
For me, if the focus is on you more than the actual product or service, then it's like, Mara, what are we doing here? Guys, stick to... The more I see the brand, the more I'm just like, I think this is what they want. And what I also like is creativity. So a lot of influencers are copying each other.
Oh gosh, they're duplicating.
So like literally I could be looking at your content, which could be really dope. But I would have seen it somewhere else. They would have been copying
another person.
So I look at those things to say, okay, is Pabi being Pabi? Because remember, I have gone through your entire profile to know
On the multiple platforms, by the way.
By now I know your sister and your uncle in Zanin.
Yeah, for real.
And now here's this product and you are a completely different person. So those are the things that I feel stand out.
Yeah.
And cleanliness in the shots.
Yeah.
You can't be advertising trash plastics and have trash in other, like
focus.
Like I also like lighting. Is it clear? Like, are we seeing what you're actually doing?
Like, so how would you compare and just like the stuff that you've learned over the years?
So I think for me, something that I've learned over the years is that there are ways in which brand communicates differently now because of the influencer landscape, right? So brands are more conscious of making sure that they're including more of their audiences. And I think that's what that's what the shift has been focused on.
Right.
It's that brands are more conscious that they can tap into niche audiences now through different influences, which wasn't really a thing back in the day.
Yeah.
It was more so just brands focusing on this is what we want to say and this is how we're going to say it. But now, because we have influencers that are from different landscapes, backgrounds, who specialize in different things, brands can tap into different voices, right? So I think that's been
and so they can
shift.
access sort of like different markets and audience kind of way.
But also a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Because some brands are quite old school.
Of course.
And they don't
There'll
want
always
to,
be those.
Yeah. There's corporate, you know?
Yeah.
We love you guys, but you know?
But we watching you.
We're watching you, corporate. Hey,
no,
but yeah, it's been interesting to observe the brands that are open to moving with the times versus the ones who are stuck on sounding the same without using the influencer landscape to what it could be. So there's that.
So how has campaign management changed the way you view influencers and the influencer marketing strategy approach?
I think in campaign management, you start to realize that it's not just what you see on the other side as a consumer. I think being a campaign manager shows you what it looks like from the perspective of being a business. So it's not just someone posting something. It's what do they have to say? What is the intention behind the post? What is brand trying to say through them? Can the influencer articulate what the brand is trying to not only just sell, but what they're trying to communicate to their people?
So does it resonate with the creator and also their audience?
100%. So on a campaign management perspective, you get to see that metrics are so important. Like, getting metrics, buffet.
And I hope you are listening. Every time I keep telling everybody, they're like, oh no, I've got 10,000 followers. I'm like, okay, what's your engagement rate? Where is your audience?
And I'd like to just touch on that one. Please, guys, engagement rate. 10,000 followers and only 2 people are commenting on your posts. Diabolical.
Kiri, what did I say? I wish I could say to the editor, pause here and insert me saying, engage with your audience. So focus a lot on engagement. Focus a lot on engagement and make sure that the content that you are creating still continues to resonate with the content that you've been creating, and it resonates with your audience, even if your following is small. Focus on your niche. Don't try to do a lot just because you're trying to get following or just because you're trying to get noticed by brand. Really, really focus on engagement. Focus on the valuable things that will make sure that the brand does notice you. Because remember, brands see a lot of influencers, so they'll notice you if your content is valuable and if your engagement does that. And remember the last time we spoke about research, making sure that you audit yourself every now and then so that you can understand if your engagement is high or your engagement is low, or if people are actually responding to the content that you post. So focus on those valuable insights. Those are the ones that are going to help you direct how you should kind of continue with your content and get brands to notice you. I hope that helps. I think it's been such an important thing, and we've said an important thing now in terms of campaign management, is that you know, before you were just worried about how many people are gonna see it, and you know, or how many followers or whatever it is. But now it's a more authentic, it's more relationship.
Yeah.
So you really have to like tap in and touch deep into it. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
just to piggyback off of what you're saying, it's that
Yeah.
I think influencers aren't, or not even just influencers, or people who want to be in the space, unconscious of the fact that it's not just posting.
No.
That's the last of your concern, actually.
I said it on the other side. I said posting kiss step 4.
Kiss step 4.
Of 10.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, we need to talk about what exactly are you communicating?
Yeah.
Right? Does your brand communicate something for you to even be somebody that a brand wants to work with? Are you that person? Can you communicate brand ideas and identities, right?
Yeah.
And I think that creators need to be more conscious of that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's so important. Have you ever had a campaign not go as planned? And and what did you learn from it? Both you, the brand, the agency, the creator, what do you think were the really important takeaways from that?
Oh, yeah, I've had a few not go my way.
Girl.
You know, this life thing, you know, sometimes when it ebbs, and when it flows, it flows.
For real.
So, I've had a campaign or two where or let me say this rather, the brand wanted something that I felt like wasn't going to relate to audiences.
Okay.
So just for context, I was working with an alcohol brand.
Right.
And it was during COVID.
Right.
And they wanted the campaign to be a virtual dinner, but it was during COVID.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't think that was going to relate well to audiences.
Okay.
Firstly, I felt like it was a little bit, that's how I wouldn't say the name.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a little bit tone deaf because during COVID, really, I didn't think that that's what people wanted to
at
hear.
that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially from that type
An
of
alcohol
brand.
brand.
Yes.
Got you.
So yeah, it did go off, but I think what I learned from that campaign was that sometimes when a brand doesn't listen to strat, on the creator side of things, it's at the detriment of brand. So it's both ways, right? So there are influencers who need to listen to brand, but brand also needs to listen to agency or creators and be like, look, this is the feedback that we're coming back with. I don't think the creators want to create it in this way.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more creative freedom. So I've learned that when a campaign doesn't go my way, for that example, I just kind of sort of look at the results and see, okay, what could we have done differently from the perspective of the agency?
Yeah.
Can we talk to brand and say, listen, this is what we think is going to work. This is what we think is not going to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of sort of where I'm
What
at.
are some of the things that you think can really be helpful in helping a brand understand, from a campaign management perspective in terms of where do we find the balance between Rona, the brand, and the creator? What are some of the things that you think brand can really, really take away from those kind of things? And you've mentioned, one of them is obviously kind of really leaning into listening to, what Strat has to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as a brand, if you're going to hire an agency or get creators, whether you're doing internal or externally, you have to trust that you're hiring experts.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're getting an agency to come in to help you with your strat, to help you with the vision of what you're trying to communicate, you must understand that we have years of campaign experience,
right,
which means we know what will work and what won't work.
Yeah.
And I think campaign managers are more tapped into the culture than people would think.
Yeah.
Because we're on social media.
Yeah.
When we
we live there.
We live on social.
Yeah.
So it would be good to listen to people that you have trusted with this project, like the campaign managers. I have a colleague who likes to say, listen to the interns, bro. Like, the interns are where the culture's at, right?
For real.
So and I hate to say it, but a lot of brands don't really consider that they're not that tapped in.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why you hire people to come in and try to help you to implement things that are culturally relevant.
Yeah.
So it's just that I think brands just need to be conscious of who they're giving the authority to speak on behalf of them. So we're finding the influences, we're creating the strat, we're putting the campaign together. Surely we must know what would work for your brand, because we're the specialists in this thing,
in
right?
that field.